Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to Passionate World Talk Radio Network, a wholly owned subsidiary of Global Media Network LLC. Educate, enlighten, entertain. And today is the first day of a new program put together by Viki Chang from Singapore and Lillian Cauldwell from Warnersville, Pennsylvania, USA. And the program is called State of Business and Technology. And as I remind people, artificial intelligence is out of Pandora's box, and it's difficult to put it back in. And if you don't learn it now, if you wait 2 weeks, you will already be before AI. BAI, how's that? And then you have AAI after artificial intelligence. I kid you not. So let me introduce you to Viki Chang from Singapore, who will start us off. Good evening, Viki.
Hi, I'm Lillian. Thank you for the quick introduction. And if you're watching um, this show live on LinkedIn, you can find us on all major social media platforms, including digital radio, Passionate World Talk Radio, and eventually on my social media platform, the Platinum platform, and also YouTube. Talk about live. This is a new show, and I think it's so pertinent and urgent for all of us to keep ourselves abreast of the latest development in business and also technology, because we are at this cusp of a huge disruption. And as the CEO and founder of NVIDIA, the number one, the first $1 trillion company after SpaceX, that is owned by Elon Musk. He said, Mr. Jensen Huang says, we are already in the era of AI. This is already the age of AI. So we have entered into a new industrialization era. So this show, we're going to talk more about technology, digital technology, AI, crypto, fintech, blockchain, data, etc. There's so many new words that's coming out in the new English language dictionary. I call it the new technological lexical, which means vocabulary around in a new environment. Even the metaverse is a new word. So we want to keep up with all these technology, what they mean. It will be an educational experience for everyone, and we will not be able to dive too much into it, but hopefully, a lot of these reporting or commentary from Lillian and myself will trigger your interest for you to read more and research more on your own. So just to continue and echo what Lillian has said about AI. I have done the first interview on AI, artificial intelligence, uh, with the founder and CEO of Video Space. And Video Space is the top and number one video search engine, which means that Google, when you search, you type a word, all the passages in text comes out. But it's very hard for you to search for video, right? In the World Wide Web. However, Video Space has already come up with the technology, has been refining itself in the last 6 years. It uses AI also. You are able to go and search for a video, and it gives you a lot of smart information. For example, in the speech that Obama has given, how many times did he said hope it will come out? And in this video, how many times did Donald Trump says disruption, economy, it's bad? How many times did the speech, the words the speaker has used, how many times? For example, these are some of the things that AI is capable of doing in a video search. And I'd like to find out the video on someone said something about life and death and going to heaven and hell, for example. I want to have all the videos there. So you can search in video space. So you can't search that only in YouTube, because YouTube has not have that kind of smart capability, and is only able to search for everything that is within the space of YouTube. But in the whole World Wide Web, you are able to search for certain videos who has spoke about what, something that is in your memory, you want to find out about the video, you can try to search for that in video space. So that's my first interview with the founder is Alex Chan. He's based in Manchester. Is a Singaporean. He works. His partners are Microsoft and Google. So that's a little bit about AI. But one of the things in my interview with him is that something that stood out astoundingly is that he said AI will not only take away your jobs, but AI will wipe out certain industries. He says wipe out. And he doesn't have to be politically correct, because he's not a politician and it's not a listed company. And when you are a listed company, whatever you say affect your stock price. So a lot of the CEOs, when they're out there, they would paint a good picture of the future of their technology or their business. So be very wary. Who are you listening to? Are you listening to a CEO or the board or the directors of a listed company, which tends to talk about something that's positive because they do not want their share price to dive, as opposed to someone's company that's not listed, that's not public. Their stock prices do not fluctuate according to the market sentiment. So they do not have to be politically correct. They can tell more truth than a listed company. So that's my interview with Alex Chan of Video Space. You can find that video in the Platinum platform in my group. But today I am going to share with Lillian and the viewers and the listeners the first article. Well, we will start with a good article, a positive article. It says from Yahoo Finance, it says, here it says, Trump's victory may make life harder for Hong Kong, and that may be good news for Singapore's banks. It goes to say, mere minutes after the Associated Press declared the U.S. presidential election for Donald Trump, Singapore's Prime Minister Lawrence Wong took to the social media platform X to offer his congratulations. He says, I look forward to taking our partnership to even greater heights. Singapore's Prime Minister official account posted, we hope to welcome you back to Singapore. Remember, Donald Trump was with Mr. Kim Jong-un when they shook hands in Singapore. That was in the year 2018, before the pandemic struck, and Singapore hosted both Donald Trump in Singapore, and Donald Trump stayed in a hotel called Shangri-La. That is just about 30 minutes from my home here. And Kim Jong-un stayed in another hotel just like a couple of kilometers away from his hotel. And all the security provided by the Singapore government to host them cost $20 million compliments from the Singapore taxpayers' pocket. They shook hands, but I'm not sure if anything positive came out of that. Let's see what's going to happen. But just to continue, that's a backdrop of what Mr. Lawrence Wong, the Prime Minister of Singapore, said. Hopefully, we can welcome President Trump back to Singapore. It says that Trump's election is a net positive for Singapore, and is a net negative for Hong Kong. Foreign capital from around the world is rushing into Singapore's financial institutions, attracted by the political stability, the tax regime, and relative political neutrality. So the Singapore, under the Singapore assets, the asset management in Singapore rose to 4.1 trillion in 2023, etc. So one of the things I would like to point out is that not only have I read about emails that sending to me that they would like to move to Singapore because Donald Trump has been elected, because everyone is trying to like really leave the country. But I think a lot of wealth and a lot of capital is being flushed into Singapore because people are just fleeing. They just want their money to be parked elsewhere. So for Singapore, that's a net positive. I do have another news, but I want to just be really quickly go to the second news. Um, Tariffs. Donald Trump. Trade tariffs make it harder to keep prices low. IKEA said. Now, IKEA is the world's largest furniture furniture shop in the world. At one time, the owner and founder, the Swedish owner and founder of IKEA, was voted the richest man in the world. Why and what does it say? It says that Donald Trump has pledged big tariffs on imports from United States, three largest trading partners, Canada, Mexico, and China, causing concern among governments, companies whose supply chains depend on these countries. Now imagine if you have a tariff on China or Mexico, and it's about 25% that Donald Trump has actually announced a couple of days ago. It means that IKEA, which depends on the manufacturing and raw materials from China like timber, plastics, manufacturing, is going to go up 25% when they actually move and import into the US. So that's the reason why huge companies are now, I would say that really seated at their edges of their seat, looking at what next Mr. Donald Trump is going to do besides that announcement. Is he really going to impose that tariff on the 10th of January 2025?
Lost our connection. While we're waiting for Miss Chang to come back on the air, you should know that the United States citizens are the ones who are going to be paying for the tariffs, not the countries who are being taxed for sending their goods over to the United States. It's already been proven, like the immigration wall that Mr. Trump wanted to put up and did, it is the US citizen who will be paying for that wall. And it still is paying for that wall. And it's been proven that that wall isn't all that effective. And we seem to be getting Viki back. So let us
I'm back because when you
get her
talk
back.
about when you talk about Donald Trump, I know you get a huge earthquake. I mean, the world shuts
Well,
down,
it's
right?
true. It's
The world kind of
they he put more tariffs on. He's calling himself the tariff king, and it's been proven that by everything is said and done by Mr. Trump, that
yeah,
we will lose 2% in growth. We will be facing food shortages
yeah, and
because
huge
they won't be
inflation.
able to bring in a lot of the food. But most importantly, it will add $4,000 of personal debt to each and every person in the United States. And for
And
people who are on fixed incomes, it just means that they're going to be a lot poorer. And a lot of these
yeah.
people are upper middle class and they still won't be able to afford it.
Now, think about, for example, ladies and gentlemen who are listening in, and thank you, Lillian, for filling in that space in the air. You're right. What does tariff do to us? It's a tax, right? Think about the largest exporter of grains, the largest exporter of a lot of vegetables, China, and they go to every country, particularly in America,
America.
because you can't have the variety of food, variety of agriculture due to temperature, due to climate, right? Because different parts of the world they grow different, they are able to grow different kinds of vegetables, different categories of vegetables because of the climate. It's different. So think about your cabbage, and think about some of these things that straight up from China, broccoli, for example, and
Or
think about
rice.
yes, rice, grains. Think about your Chinese tea. Think about the restaurants. Think about the Asian restaurants, which are dependent on these ingredients. But think about just in general. We look at what happened in Ukraine. Now, Ukraine exports the world's 30% grains, and I only learned that when the war broke. That's why everything soared because you have different kinds of grains, not only rice. You've got millet, you've got the quinoa. There's different kinds of grains out there.
Who's
So
barley,
yeah,
black
exactly.
rice,
There's a different kinds of buckwheat, for example. I mean, buckwheat
buckwheat,
is not
yes,
really a grain; it's a seed.
pasta.
Yeah, you know that when the war broke out in Ukraine, inflation started soaring. That was the first precursor. And think about that happened throughout for the last 1,000 days. It's over 1,000 days. And now think about the disruption in supply chain. And now we've got something called the tax, which is 25%. Now you're going crazy if you don't understand what 25% is. And 25% does not mean 25% shortage in your kofa, which is in your pocket, because it is a cumulative effect. The first person gets 25%, and he wants to impose 28% on the next person, and the
To
next
make
person
up.
wants to impose 30%. That is a filtering effect, and you know who gets it at the end? Us.
Yes, I got to
We
tell you, the
get we get
companies,
it.
the retail stores have already put up their prices, even for Black Friday, the supposedly
Wow.
sale. And so you're already paying for something that hasn't even been initiated yet. But all the companies,
Just spoken, right?
yes, just by word of mouth and by news media, all the companies here in the States have raised their
That's the
prices.
econoquake. That's
Yes,
the econoquake.
absolutely. And I
And
don't think that the people who voted him into office
was
understand
expecting it.
that they are also expected to pay these exorbitant prices. If they think they're going to get a get out of jail card for free, they're not. And I
Yeah.
don't think that they understand that principle.
Yeah, and I also want to speak about the president of Mexico. She's a woman. I can't remember her name, but I read the article. Really sharp woman. She says that this is going to affect jobs. Now think about it in a very localized manner. A lot of things sounds like they're big policies, but you can actually just really filter down to very small, tangible examples. For example, you are a mom and pop store, right? You can't buy the grains because the grains has increased by 25%, and then the cabbage increased by 25%, the carrots from China increased by 25%, and something comes in from Canada, another 25%. Now think about that. What's going to go? I mean, the first person is going to go is one of the workers because it is
Yes, the
easiest to
workers are going to
lay
lose their
off.
jobs.
They are easiest to go because you can just have a layoff, and then workers in general are not protected by unions in capitalistic countries, and especially we're talking about small companies, right? Small mom and pop stores. They don't want, I mean, the workers are not with any union, right? I mean, they are the first people to go. You're talking about the lowest rungs of
States.
the rank and file people. They will have to go. And you're talking about 25% of the workforce. Figuratively speaking, if you want to just extrapolate 25% of the tax, now you've got 25% of the workforce will go, and it will start from the bottom. Now, not only it will start from the bottom, now companies which are listed because they want to show a good black bottom line, being in a black, being in a positive good profit, they would want to be the next companies, the next one to X off all the workers, because they can have AI, they can have replacement, which is easy. And then you're talking about intellectual people will go. Now, not only the people at the lower strata will go, people on the highest level and the mid-range will go. So you're looking at a whole domino effect. People in the middle, the sandwich, the sandwich generation, they will have to go, right? I mean, people at the bottom, they are first to go, and then the top will eventually, they will have to go. So 25% tariff is not a joke. I'm just going to let everyone know that in Singapore, come 1st of January, we're going to have 1% more of our goods and services tax, and that's in America they call it value added tax. When I went to Disneyland, I bought a battery and it cost me like this is the battery, but then they've got so many taxes below. I was like so shocked.
Well, shipping and handling, there's breathing, there's the cost of the materials, there's people taking it down, looking at it, caressing it, and then putting it back. So that's wear and tear right there. I mean, come on. Yeah. If you sit long enough, you can think of some extra taxes to slap on the price too.
And we are now at the rate of 8% goods and services tax. And come 1st of January 2025, we will have 9% goods and services tax. And when you have a tax like that, like tariffs and goods and services tax, economists have shown it has a regressive effect on the people. And what does regressive effect mean? It means that the tax and all these taxes that has a tax effect, right? Tariff is a tax. When you drive your car, parking is a tax. When you operate a business, for example, a rent has a tax effect, even though it's called rent, because even when you close your shop, you still got to pay, right? It's a worse effect than tax, because with or without business, you still tax. But tax has but let me just gonna even make it really, really simple for everyone. It has a regressive tax because the poorest people in a strata, in a whole pyramid strata of the population, the poorest people form the bottom part. Why? Because they're the masses, right? Then you've got the middle income, they've got the richest, and they've got the 1% and the 10% at the top. And when you go and buy food, right, you've only got $100 in your pocket. And when the tax increases to 25%, it means that $100, suddenly you're left with $75. But if you're rich and you've got $1 million and you're going to the supermarket and you buy and you've got $25, 25% tax, but you're still eating that same amount of food, right? So that has an effect on the people who is the lower strata because they have a limited amount of disposable income for food, for livelihood, for living. So therefore, the tax effect on a smaller percentage of smaller pie, if you see that it is round, is a bigger effect. So this effect is more prominent for the poorest people because they've got least disposable income, and the tax, they cannot run away. But you've got the richest person like Jeff Bezos who was able to afford a 500 million yacht. 25% tax on his food is not going to cost a lot. I mean, how much is he going to eat every day? He's going to eat maybe $1,000, $2,000. Okay, let's say he's going to eat like $10,000 of food. 25% on $10,000 of food for him is nothing, right? But for us, if we are taking on like $1,000 of disposable income on food, 25% on that is a lot of money to us. So therefore, any tax it has a regressive effect. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remind yourselves and educate your children because that's your vote. Any tax that is imposed on the general public has a higher effect on the people on the middle and the lower strata. And think about that. 1% of the stock market means billions and billions of dollars. Now think about if 1% is imposed on your value added tax or your services tax or your goods tax, right? Everyone feels the effect, and you don't know why you're feeling poor because has a good big effect because it's wiping out billions of dollars every day off the market. And you, as the person who's at the bottom or in the middle, you are actually holding the burden that wipes out from the economy every day billions and billions of dollars that goes into the government coffer. So therefore, you don't know why you're feeling poor, for example, because in the larger picture of economics, you are the one who is contributing to the billions and billions of dollars that is going into the expenditure as a tax. And this tax is collected by the government every day. Now think about every expenditure everyone is using, paying every day. And every day, your neighbors, yourself, is paying an extra percent of the tax. And this extra percent of the tax goes into the government coffer and multiply that by 10 days. Multiply that by 100 days. Multiply that for 365 days. How much money is the government collecting? And they're not telling you. They're not even telling you, right? And where does the money go? Oh, they say they're short of money, and they say that they're in debt, right? And they need to pump the next treasury bills and ask everyone to buy the government debt. Now, again, you're feeling poor because of taxes, inflation. Your disposable income is going down because the tax is on the burden of the poor and the middle income. That's why the poor and the middle income get crushed. You understand? So therefore, this education needs to go to everyone listening in. You've got to go out to make sure your voice is heard and go and research, because whatever I'm telling you is just like a tip of the iceberg. Okay. But I think it suffices. You don't need a robotic science to know that you're being taxed. You don't need robotic science to know that you're feeling the pinch in your pocket. You're feeling poor at the end of the month. Why are you like short of like $500 or $5,000 at the end of the month? So, and I'm urging everyone, you've got to brush up on your reading. I hope that everyone can tune in to State of Business and Technology to really tune in to understand all these lexicals that is coming up that's affecting us. Blockchain, fintech, financial technology, fintech, robotics, generative artificial intelligence, super intelligence, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. What are they? Why are people making so much money out of that? Like it's going to go through the roof. One Bitcoin is almost, I think it's gone $100,000. Like 12 years ago, it only cost $1. Is it corruption? Is it embezzlement? I don't know how the money's floating. Is it money laundering? Is it the rich people are keeping the money away from the poorer people like us in the middle and the bottom? So we don't know, but I think we need to start to understand a little bit so that we don't have the wool pulled over our eyes. That's the article that I talked about. IKEA says that tariffs is going to make it so much harder for them to keep their prices low. And of course, the prices are going to be pushed to the retail consumers like you and I. Final article, which I think is very important for our education here in State of Business and Technology. And I love a show like this, ladies and gentlemen, because I get so much education in researching for you, ladies and gentlemen, listening in wherever you are. I'm researching, I'm commenting, and I'm reading off and reporting for you. It says, the picture here is the really good-looking French President Emmanuel Macron. He says, the article from Yahoo Finance says, French borrowing costs. The French borrowing cost means interest rates surge above Greece as stock market plunges. And just before the pandemic, Greece was almost declaring itself bankrupt. It borrowed so much money from the IMF, International Monetary Fund, to stabilize its economy at that time. But since then, it's done well because there was a lot of very difficult times because there were high taxes and all. So France now is actually surpassing Greece in terms of its bad economy. And its interest rates, all right, just to let you know, it's in Europe, it looks like it's a lot. But actually, compared to Singapore and compared to a lot of countries, it's still pretty low. It says that the 5-year borrowing cost, means interest rates, climbed to 2.7% on Wednesday, more than the rate paid by the Greek government at 2.5%. The French 10-year bond yields. Bonds are government bonds. When you borrow, when the government is in debt, they want to sell their stocks to you. Then don't ever buy that because all governments are going bankrupt. Don't ever try to buy any government bonds. I don't know, you just probably have to stash your money in somewhere safe like in Singapore. The French 10-year bond yields are only slightly lower than Greece. Now, it says that investors are dumping French assets amid concerns about political instability because Marine Le Pen, which is the French political party, which is a far-right party, is threatening to bring down the government because Macron's government is in the middle.
You know
and
who
it
else
also
is
says
dumping assets? The Japanese and the Chinese are dumping American
American,
assets. They're
all
getting
all
rid
the
of them at
debts.
a fast pace. And if that doesn't tell you, ladies and gentlemen, about the state of our world economy, you've been
Yeah,
asleep way too long.
yeah. So just to top it off for today's first episode of State of Business and Technology, I would say that today we're talking about France. I hope that I can share about Germany because Germany, you're talking about Germany used to be the second strongest economy in the world, but now they're in the doldrums. They're talking about they're in such shaky ground. I don't know. They are really like facing a huge recession very soon. You're talking about Europe. You're talking about all these first world countries. They are all facing bankruptcy, and the economic, I should say, landscape isn't looking good, to say the least. And we may be looking at a huge, huge economic recession that I think is always being postponed because stock price is always being jacked up. So this is the reporting from me, just to let everyone know, expand our horizon beyond our local community news, to let you know that Europe is on shaky ground, and today we're talking about the French government. It's in huge. I'm not even going to say the 4-letter word, but it's SHIT is in huge deep trouble.
It's in deep sugar honey iced tea.
Wow. Okay. All right. So that's over to you, Lillian. I hope that today's reporting gives everyone an eye-opening experience. We talked about Donald Trump's tariff. It has an effect in this part of the world, Indo-Pacific, Hong Kong, and Singapore. How the world's capital market is going to move, and is already moving since he's announced president. You don't need to wait till the 10th of January 2025, but the capital is already moving around the world. And look at Europe; it's in deep trouble right now. And of course, America, the Chinese and Japanese are owning a big part of the American debt. They are dumping it already. So over to you, Lillian.
I just want to make one mention before we wrap it up. I'm not sure how they're doing over in the Western countries overseas, but in the United States, within the business and technology field, the current crop of young men and women who graduated from college and are now in the business market are being let go in huge numbers because they do not know how to communicate. They do not know how to speak. They do not know how to put a sentence together. When I was their age, after doing grammar diagrams all my life with nouns, verbs, adjectives, they don't have a clue. And because of this, the companies are firing them. And it's something for you to think about. It's not AI's fault. Although there was a study in Canada saying that most of the kids in high school and college have admitted that they are learning less because now they depend on AI. Let me remind you, AI is a combination of all the bright people in the world who have gotten together and put their knowledge together into AI. And instead of receiving it from a person, you're getting it from a machine. Something we've been writing about for the past 100 years. Science fiction, folks. Anyway, you should be forewarned that if, like anything else, Lenin called religion the opiate of the people. Well, move over religion. AI has now become the opiate of our generation. And if something
That's right.
isn't done soon, you're going to lose it. And can you afford to lose it? Because the only person you can blame is not that machine, it's you for remaining ignorant. So, Peter Pans of the world, grow up and accept your responsibility for yourself. Because if
Yeah.
you don't, you will put yourself in non employable positions a lot faster. And a side note, they already have robots working in the fast food industry. Just so you know, we need to wrap it up, folks. Thank you very much for joining us on our first episode of State of Business and Technology. You can see this program if you go over to passionatworldtalkradio.com. Scroll down until you come to State of Current Affairs. Click on it. It'll take you to our web page. There is a Google link. Click on that, and it'll take you into the belly of the YouTube beast, and you can see this program along with State of Current Affairs. Every Monday and Tuesday, State of Current Affairs. Wednesday, State of Business and Technology. Something for you to think about because you will need to learn how to use everything that is available for you. As the saying goes, if you don't use it, you will lose it. So, thank you very much for joining us this morning, this evening. Next time, take notes. Please forgive us for the technical difficulty with Viki disappearing and coming back on the screen. Just stick it out. Some things are worth waiting for. And a lot of this information, guess what? They're not going to tell you about it because they are fearful. So, thank you very much for listening. Check out the obstacles of podcast training at educate.passionatworldtalkradio.com. Check out the publishing company in Singapore that can help you write your memoirs and get it out. Contact us at pwrnetworkllc@gmail.com. Great Christmas gift, guys, and you can have it in time. There's still 5 more shopping days, weeks, excuse me. And also brought to you by MyFlex, that artificial intelligence program, one AI to rule them all, and in the bright of day, rule them. No excuses. AIwithlillian.com. Check it out. And remember, Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat. Please put a donation of $5 in PWTRN and State of Current Affairs hat. Have a great evening. Have a great day. Ciao, baby.